Welcome dear students in my series of lectures, Skills for Professional Development. In today's lecture, we are going to deal with two major aspects of interpersonal communication skills. The first is be aware of your gestures and postures. Two things we are going to observe and talk about. The first is gestures and the second is postures. And the next point is be empathetic. What is empathetic in communication? Why empathetic? One should empathetic in communication. Why it is important? So first of all, we will see how gestures and posture is important in interpersonal communication skills. So interpersonal communication isn't just about what is said. It is not just a matter of using words or conveying a message with a particular kind of meaningful sound. Then what is it? It is more than that. So interpersonal communication isn't just about what is said. It also includes how it is said. How it is said. And the non-verbal messages that are communicated through one's gestures and body language. So it is not just a matter of communication. We are using meaningful words. It also requires a company of certain kind of gestures and posture to convey the message that you want to convey to the others. So, first thing is relaxed posture. You should not be too stiff. You must not be too stiff and too alert and too conscious while your interpersonal communication or while at the time of your communication. So, most of the people are having this habit to cross their hands and participate in a communication. So, it is really unacceptable in interpersonal communication skill. Your hands, your arms must be uncrossed. You must be relaxed in posture. The third thing is, as we had earlier discussed, maintaining an eye contact. So, maintaining eye contact is most important in interpersonal communication skill. Then the smiling, because your smile is the best way to convey the message to the other that either you are taking an active participation in the conversation, you are attending the next person, and at the same time you are understanding the message. So, smiling is also one of the most vital part of your communication. So, having closed body. What is closed body? Crossing arms and stiffly making yourself uncomfortable in the communication with certain kind of stiff position. So, having closed body language, keeping your hands on your chest like this, crossed, or keeping them in the pocket So fidgeting should be avoided. Such things must be avoided in interpersonal communication. Smiling face, eye contact, relaxed posture, uncrossed arms. All these things will display that you are interested in communication, you are attending the next person, and at the same time you are understanding the every message of the communicator. So these things must be avoided. So because you may be perceived, if suppose you are not doing this thing, you are stiff, you are standing stiff, you are keeping the hands like this, crossed hands, keeping them inside of the pocket. So what will happen? The next person may be perceived as disinterested, defensive, or even untrustworthy. If you don't want to be like this, that disinterestedness, defensiveness, or untrustworthiness, then you ought to have to avoid these kinds of practices. Now let's move ahead. Why it is necessary that one must be an empathetic in communication. So putting yourself in someone else's shoes can widen your perspective about things. It is necessary that if you really want to understand the message of the next person, then you ought to have to understand the mental ability, the wavelength, the thinking process of the next person. So for this thing, you ought to have to put yourself in his or her shoe. So it will help us to widen our perspectives about the things. Why he had said like that? What was exactly the meaning of those words? Why he is talking like this? Why he had cited that particular kind of example? Then and then you will come to know the meaning behind those words, sentences, or examples given by that person in the communication. So without empathy, misunderstandings happen quite often. So why empathy is important? Because if you are not having empathetic view or empathy for the next person, it may lead towards the misunderstanding. It may lead to create a certain kind of obstacles between you and the speaker, you and the communicator, you and the said message. So that is why empathy is important in every kind of communication. So everyone experiences their feelings for a reason, and even if you don't think, you would react the same way to a situation. It's still important to acknowledge other people's emotions. It is necessary. In face-to-face communication, it is necessary to understand each one's emotions. Then and then we could lead ahead to have a better kind of interpersonal relationships and understand the matter and the content of the communication. So, be truthful to your speakings. Be honest with your wordings. Follow the good gestures and posture. Always follow good gesture and posture in your interpersonal communication skill. And the most important part of today's lecture is be empathetic every time in all kind of communications. Thank you.